Okay, if you're in your 20s, you know the feeling, right? That overwhelming sense that you're standing at this massive crossroads. You've got to make these huge decisions about your career, your love life, and, well, your entire life. It's a lot. But what if I told you there's kind of a map for this territory? Let's dive in.
And if you're nodding your head right now, trust me, you are so not alone. This whole experience even has a name, the quarter life crisis. And yeah, it's a time of, intense confusion, but it's also packed with incredible potential. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the psychology behind this feeling and give you some expert-backed tools to actually navigate your way through it.
All right, so first things first, we've got to get a clear picture of what's actually happening inside our own heads. A lot of us, myself included, sometimes throw around words like frustrated and depressed as if they mean the same thing. But psychologically, they're totally different. And understanding that difference is absolutely crucial.
Okay, so let's break this down. Think of frustration as a normal short-term thing. You bomb a job interview or a project you're working on just hits a wall. You feel angry, agitated, right? But eventually, you move on. Depression, though, that's a whole different beast. It's a complex, long-term condition. We're talking something that's often tied to biology and genetics, not just one bad day. It can stick around for months and really impact your ability to just function.
So, what do you do when that frustration hits? Well, our source psychologist lays out a really practical 5-step process. First up, recognize your triggers. What sets you off? Second, and this is a big one, you gotta accept the feeling. It is okay to be sad or angry. Let yourself feel it. Third, start to develop some healthy ways to manage stress. Fourth, and this is so important, find your support system, your people. And finally, listen, if it all just feels like too much, seek professional help. Seriously, there is absolutely zero shame in getting support.
All right, but let's be real. This isn't all just happening between our ears, is it? We're swimming in a world of constant external pressure. And yeah, I'm talking about those little glowing screens we carry around in our pockets all day. I'm sure you've heard of this one, FOMO, the fear of missing out. It's that awful, anxious feeling you get when you're scrolling and you see everyone else's perfect highlight reels. Turns out, this is rooted in a really primitive fear of being left out of the tribe, and it just loves to prey on low self-worth. You see someone else's big promotion or amazing vacation, and bam, suddenly your own life feels, well, not good enough. And there's a very real, powerful, chemical reason it's so addictive. See, every single like, every comment, it gives your brain a little hit of dopamine. That's the pleasure hormone. It's like a little treat for your brain. And pretty soon, your brain starts to crave that validation, creating this feedback loop where you're constantly chasing that approval from, let's face it, strangers on the internet just to feel good. So what do you do? I mean, it can feel like we're totally powerless against this digital tidal wave of comparison and pressure. But what if the solution was actually surprisingly simple and incredibly powerful? That's what the psychologist in our source materials suggests. Here it is. This is the big takeaway. You are in control. You're the curator of your own digital world. So if there's an account that consistently makes you feel bad about yourself, envious, resentful, or just, not good enough, unfollow it. Just hit the button. It's not rude. It's self-preservation. You control what you let into your brain. Okay, so we've looked at our internal emotions, and we've talked about the external pressures. Now let's get a little more personal. Let's turn our attention to the ways we sometimes become our own worst enemy. Let's talk about self-sabotage. This is a really fascinating insight. The roots of self-sabotage, when we actively hold ourselves back from succeeding, they often go way back to childhood. Think about it. If you grew up in an environment where you were constantly criticized or always being told you can't do that, you start to internalize that voice. It becomes a part of you. You actually start to believe you're not good enough. And where does that internal voice lead? Well, a lot of the time, it leads directly to this thing called imposter syndrome. Ever felt this? It's that nagging, persistent feeling that any success you have is just a fluke, that you just got lucky, and that at any moment, everyone's going to find out you're a total fraud. You just can't bring yourself to believe that your achievements are actually yours. So how in the world do we fight back against these super deep-seated patterns? Well, we can't just sit around and wait for someone else to give us a gold star. The antidote, the solution, is to become your own source of validation. You have to be the one to celebrate your own wins, no matter how small they seem. Did you finish a really tough task? Acknowledge it. Take a tiny step forward on a big goal. Celebrate that. You have to be your own biggest cheerleader.
Okay, so now that we've started to clear out some of that internal and external clutter, how do we actually, build a life that feels authentic to us? Let's get into the practical stuff. Some really cool, actionable frameworks for finding your own compass. And the very first step is making a distinction that sounds simple, but is actually super profound. It's understanding the difference between your needs and your wants. Your needs? Those are the absolute essentials for your well-being. Things like safety, real human connection, getting enough rest. Your wants, on the other hand, are often those fleeting desires, heavily influenced by what we see other people doing. Building a truly fulfilling life, it's all about learning to prioritize your needs over those wants.
All right, so once you're clear on that, you can use this super simple 3-part framework to set goals that actually mean something. So you start with a big general purpose, something like, I want to be useful to others. Great. Step 2, get specific. How are you going to do that? Maybe it's through my job as a marketer. And then step 3, you have to connect it to your personal satisfaction. What's the emotional payoff for you? Maybe it's the satisfaction I get from actually helping people. See how that connects your day-to-day actions to a much deeper sense of purpose? It's awesome.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. We've gone from our internal emotional world all the way to designing our life's purpose. But there's one last piece of the puzzle, and honestly, it might be the biggest one. It's a factor that has a truly massive impact on literally everything we've just discussed.
60 to 80%, what is that? Well, that's how much your social environment contributes to your character and your personality. Yeah, I'll say that again, 60 to 80%. The people you surround yourself with, your friends, your colleagues, your community, they are responsible for the vast majority of who you become. Which means choosing who you let into your life, it might just be the most important decision you ever make. And so that brings us right here to our final and maybe most important question. If your environment has that much power over who you are, well, doesn't that make choosing it one of your most powerful acts? So I want you to really think about this. Take a look around at your life. Are you in a place that supports you, that challenges you in a good way, a place that helps you grow? Ultimately, the choice is yours. So what kind of environment will you choose?